The game features such masterfully styled and crafted graphics that despite not being on the forefront of technology even in 2016 when it was released, it has retained every ounce of its beauty, unlike a certain game from a certain developer that looked dated even when it launched. The trees, the water, the mountains, the falls, they're all enchanting. You don't need to go all over the game world tweaking the settings to make the game look good. You don't need to lie to the consumers with pre-rendered cinematic trailers. The game's art style looks good as is. People often say this about modern games, that every frame looks like a painting.
But honestly, that has always struck me as something someone would say who is huffing glue.
Sure, for some games, it holds true, like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. But for the most part, photorealism does not age well at all. And by nature, paintings are timeless. This game, which doesn't get enough praise, holds true to that. Every landscape looks like it was painted by a master. Every tree and every rock looks like they were made with a paintbrush. The colors appear as if they were lifted off the easel of Van Gogh himself. This game is a painting that you can play. Hiking has a certain charm, something about being alone with the sweet innocent beauty of nature, with fresh wind caressing your face and the coolness of ravines permeating the space. Nothing to distract or distress your mind as you calmly approach your destination step by step. It is magical. The game does an amazing job at capturing those emotions. As you hike towards Two Forks Lookout Tower, you are exposed to Henry's troubles. You keep hiking, keep pushing forward, with Henry's worries slowly gnawing away at your mind. And eventually, after enough hikes, you forget all about what was troubling Henry and focus on the now. The beautiful surroundings, the enchanting trail, the troublesome teens, and the nurturing nature. You get so lost in the beauty of the hike, in fact, that when the game reminds you of the narrative, it's a bit of a shock. It jolts you back to, oh yeah, I'm in deep shit, and you suddenly remember that you're supposed to be worried. Though the game would be enjoyable as a hiking simulator, far more than another walking simulator, the game gives you a companion. Her name is Delilah. She is energetic, witty.
There's some guy out here.
Some guy? Wait, he's looking at you? Is he doing anything else?
I don't think so.
Henry, there's something someone should have told you about this area.
What is it?
It's outside.
Come on.
The whole thing. And people come and go as they please. It's madness.
Funny.
There are, panties?
There are what?
I don't want to say that word again.
Why, 'cause you're 12?
And filled to the brim with sass.
What do you think they're keeping in? What do they not want to have get out of there?
Oh, geez, so many things.
Should I just stop you now?
Maybe loads of hedgehogs.
Okay.
Thousands even. Full percentage points of the global hedgehog population.
Uh-huh.
The New Zealand government is up in arms. Where are all the hedgehogs? Well, folks are hiding them all in Wyoming. That's where they are. Who would do that and why? Haha, that is the real mystery.
She serves as our boss, instructing us on how to proceed, telling us fun facts as we walk, and being a radio call away to chat. We call her whenever we find an interesting vista, some contraband, and even to talk about every man's dream.
There are two naked ladies out here.
Can you handle that?
In every conversation, she never misses with a response, whether it be doubting Henry's abilities as a professional,
A nudie pyromaniac. Remain professional.
or mocking him for some wild idea,
Forest Service really frowns on us putting up curtains for some reason.
or just being a plain goofball. Delilah never fails to delight. The game would have been amazing as is, but Delilah elevates it to a masterpiece. Not to mention the sheer number of possible dialogues and combinations thereof are insane. Your actions and choices directly change the dialogue you get, or the dialogue you may not get. Further, there is an insane amount of dialogue triggers, and despite having played this game 3 times, I am far from having encountered all of them. I can only think of one other game that has such a high degree of dialogue variance: Detroit Become Human. As I said earlier, the game's exposition is tragic. You learn that Henry's soulmate, the person who brought joy into his life, is sick. This comes as a shock because the game doesn't start with, "Yeah, your wife has dementia, see ya." Instead, they walk you through Henry's perspective. The game tells you why Henry loves Julia so much. It tells you how much Henry cares about her, putting himself in harm's way for her. It tells you how challenging Henry can be at times. It shows you how sudden the onset of dementia is. It tells how scary it is, how Henry's soulmate, the person he married, the person he intended to have children with, the person who brought joy into his life, the person who was willing to sacrifice everything for him, turned into a stranger. We carry the weight of this tragic past along with Henry. When he talks about Julia, we feel the loss. When he hikes to forget about it, we do too. And so, when Delilah provides an air of comfort for Henry, it reaches us too. We feel what Henry is feeling. We may act differently, but we understand him. We feel his worries, his fears, his shame, his confusion, and apathy towards society. Though the game would appear as a hiking simulator, it does have a narrative, and a pretty good one at that. I will get into the narrative soon, but first I wish to discuss a few odd occurrences in the game. On a routine hike to the lake, we find a strange clipboard. It contains transcripts of our conversations with Delilah before we've even had a chance to understand what it is we've come across. We get pushed back by some unknown being. Exactly who is it that intends to not only study us, but also is a potential threat to us? Apart from that, one night we get a random call from our beloved Julia. How is the question? Not why. How? How was Julia, who has dementia and doesn't even know that Henry is working as a fire lookout and is in Australia, was able to contact Henry's wimpy little radio? Not to mention that Delilah was able to hear Henry's response, but not Julia's statements, odd to say the least. The game does offer an explanation on who exactly was monitoring Henry and Delilah, but it offers no explanation on why or how Julia contacted Henry. That's open to interpretation, and I believe that was the right thing to do. See, a lot of people forget, if you show the audience everything, then there's nothing for their mind to wonder about, and thus nothing to intrigue them further, nothing to fascinate them. Well-understood natural phenomena like thunder are far less popular than the perplexing supernatural for that exact reason. The game introduces a minor character pretty early. The character is so minor that he is only mentioned in passing when Henry read his name off of a backpack full of hiking gear he found, Brian Goodwin. Delilah immediately latches onto the name and goes on to explain his story. Apparently, he was a sweet young boy who was dragged out into the wilderness by his father, Ned, where he took the job as a lookout. Delilah spoke with some hidden contempt about Ned, but had nothing but care in her voice when discussing Brian. The pair had apparently vanished, and presumably Ned went back to civilization for good. We find a few more items of Brian's and think to ourselves, "Aw, such a sweet boy." We should have known better than to feel good when a game focuses this much on something sweet. We should not have gotten attached. In the locked cave, we find that poor boy. Turns out, he never left the forest. His corpse, now nothing but bones, only recognized by context clues, was just lying there at the bottom of the cave, long, broken, and abandoned. Something that people don't realize is that the name Delilah has a very strong negative connotation. Literally, it can be translated to she who weakens or she who diminishes. The name famously comes from a story in the Book of Judges, where a judge named Samson was renowned for his supernatural strength. Delilah tricked him into revealing his secret, which turned out to be his uncut hair. Is that why Aaron stopped cutting his hair in the last season of Attack on Titan? Anyway, having uncovered his secret, Delilah cut Samson's hair while he slept, causing him to lose his strength and being killed and tortured by his enemies. In the game, we are all by our lonesome. There is no human nor wildlife in sight, and the hikers we encounter are few and far between, to the point that when we do encounter someone, it seems menacing. In this loneliness, we have only Delilah to keep us company. She listens and makes us laugh. She is there for us to emotionally handle the situation with Julia. She gets Henry to open up and trust her. She whispers sweet promises into Henry's ears, tells him things that he desperately needs to hear. She provides him with the much-needed escape from his shitty situation and the love and care he needs to be able to accept his past, present, and be hopeful for the future. She presumably presents herself as a potential lover for Henry, someone who will be by his side for days to come, and as the fated day approaches, as Henry begs her to wait for him, as he rushes to be with this woman who had presented herself as someone whom he could trust, she abandons him. She left, despite promising Henry that she would wait. All those sweet whispers turned out to be mere petty lies. Henry, not ready to accept that he had been abandoned, asks if she would join him. And again, Despite all her earlier promises, she abandons him.